The Chris Merrill Show.
Trump heads out on his No Apologies tour. I feel a book deal coming on now on News Talk 550 KFYI. Let's go! All right. We'll throw it out there early. 602-260-KFYI. 602-260-KFYI. I'm already catching hell on Twitter. Already. We threw the tease out for the program that said McCain says the real Donald Trump owes an apology to the military families immediately. Oh, the same McCain from the Gang of Eight that wanted amnesty for illegals? Get real. What the hell does that have to do with somebody being captured as a POW? What does that have to do with anything? In fact, it was the Military Officers Association that talked about this. We can disagree with some of Senator McCain's positions at times, but we can never say that he abandoned the troops. Here's a guy that was literally, not to overuse the word literally as tends to be done nowadays, but literally broken by the enemy in every way, shape, and form. Broken by the enemy. What did he ever do, though? Really, I mean, it wasn't McCain, he just kind of ran too slowly, right? I mean, that was really... McCain, this whole POW thing, it just means that he wasn't very good at hide and seek. That's really what Donald Trump is trying to say here, isn't it? And why should we condemn Donald Trump for pointing out the obvious? McCain lost at the 2008 election, and he lost at hide and seek. That's really all Donald Trump is saying. So can we please focus on the important things, like Donald's commitment to service and his commitment to dodging the draft a number of times? Can we just focus on the important stuff here instead of dwelling on John McCain and his inability to hide from the enemy when he's shot down? I mean, really, Trump is a true American, isn't he? I mean, he dodged the draft like Clinton. He had Hillary at his third wedding. Here's a guy, here's a guy that was once the Grand Marshal of the Vets Parade in New York City back in 1995. So I don't know how you can find someone that loves America more than Donald Trump does. How can you possibly do that? You can't. You can't. No, listen, Donald Trump supporters, you're not crazy. No. No. You're not crazy at all. You love America. I can tell, because you support a guy that loves America enough to dodge the draft and to Grand Marshal a Veterans Parade, to tell POWs that they're not heroes just for getting captured. No.
He's not a war hero.
He's a war hero.
He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured.
Yeah.
I like people that weren't captured.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you.
Do you agree with that?
He's a war hero because he was captured. Okay? You can have, and I believe perhaps he's a war hero.
Perhaps he's a war hero, but I mean, he was a war hero because he captured.
He was just digging and digging and digging.
Well, that's what Donald Trump is good at. He's good at digging. He's great at it. Was it El Chapo that put out a reward on Donald Trump? Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
I think El Chapo put out like $100,000 reward for Donald Trump. But I thought this would be a real great way. Honestly, if Donald Trump wants to turn this around, he puts a reward out for El Chapo. He could easily say, I'll match that. $1 million reward for my head, I'll put out $2 million for this guy's head. Yeah, Trump could have turned that one around. That was a missed PR opportunity by Trump right there. I mean, there's a guy that could have used his money to really step up that little PR game. And look, here's what Donald Trump is so good at. So good at. Donald Trump knows what the hot button issues are. He knows how to grab people's attention on things that they care about. Whether or not those are the most lasting arguments or not, he knows how to grab their attention. Because let's be completely honest. Whether Trump thinks a POW is a war hero or not is inconsequential, right? I mean, unless he's elected president, which he won't be, but unless he's elected a president, his feelings on whether or not a POW is a war hero is completely inconsequential. What he's really good at is grabbing things that people are passionate about. He can say illegal immigration is bad and we should stop it without any plan. He should say veterans need better care, no plan. He's great at this. I mean, as far as politicking goes, man, he really knows how to grab people's attention, without a doubt. No doubt whatsoever. In Scottsdale, Jerry, start us off here on News Talk 550 KFYI. Go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon. I agree with you on an extent. He had no reason of saying that against McCain. I mean, the guy did, he was a POW. You got to have respect for the man. On the other hand, shame on the media on this.
Yeah, why? Yeah, blame the messenger.
I'm going to tell you why, and I'm even shame on you a little bit, but I'm glad you're bringing it up. This is all a deflection. Why isn't the media talking about the Iranian deal, how lousy it is, what it's going to do to America? And I'm not knocking what he said, but the media is more interested. I know you're a talk show host, so there shouldn't be really a problem. This is great for your show. You're going to have people calling in. But this is kind of shame on the media for sweeping this Iranian deal under the carpet. I mean, that caught you off guard, didn't it? But
no.
Could it be?
I have people blame the messenger all the time. It didn't catch me off guard at all.
I mean, I'm not yelling at you. I think it's great. It's going to be great for ratings because there is a lot of people out there that like Trump. So they're going to call in and say, well, he's going to get away. But the situation, I mean, people are worrying about, like you said, is Donald Trump really going to win? I don't know at this point. We're a year and a half away. But I do know one thing. The other day, we're making a bad deal right now, and it's being completely swept under the carpet. And the American people, once again, it's going to be, here you go, here's a deal, and then we just find out about it after it's done. And this is due to the media.
All right, well, sit tight here, Jerry, because I got a couple of questions to shoot back at you.
Yes, sir.
First of all, did you listen to the show last week?
Which show?
This show.
Yes, you did talk about the Iranian deal.
We talked about the Iranian deal extensively.
Absolutely, but nobody because now we had, number one, what was kind of really funny is if you watched Kerry spoke and they asked him some questions about Congress, and what they should be talking about is that he said he doesn't care what Congress thinks. They're still going to take the deal to the nations first. So they're stepping all over the Constitution, number one. This is the stuff that should be being reported. Who really cares? Donald Trump, you and I both know he's a showman. He's going to come out, just like you said. He knows what to say, how to say it, what to say to get the media all excited. And, hey, maybe he's in on it. I don't really know. But I know that the American people, most of the people that I hear and I see what's going on the Internet, are kind of worried about this deal going on that we're selling America out once again.
So here's the other question I have, Jerry, is that, and I think you made the point for me when you said something about Trump being good for ratings.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, so this comes back to something I've said before, and I know you like to blame media for this, but what is media's primary job? What is my primary job in my position? My career is to do what? Why do I go to work every day?
I would think if you were actually talking you personally, because you're
I understand.
You're
That's
a talk
okay.
show host.
That's okay.
I think the media needs to report on the truth and report on issues first and foremost that are important. See, we're always worried about, we offended this one, or last week we're reporting that illegal aliens are getting upset. Well, we don't report that the American people are being upset, and they never report that. Maybe do you think the American people are being offended by the illegals the way they're talking about our country?
So Jerry,
you see.
So yeah, here's where I think that
do I make a good logic though on what I'm saying? I'm trying to.
Yes and no. I've got my issue with your logic. I'll tell you the media aspect here in just a second. My media with your logic though is that you've zeroed in on one issue. Now I could make a counterpoint and I could say that choosing the next leader of the free world is of the utmost importance to the American people, and vetting those candidates very closely based on what they can and can't say and whether or not they display the decorum that the president needs to display is of the utmost importance, because if we have someone that's a clown in the White House, then how do you possibly expect anything to get better? So I can make that argument. The other thing that happens here is, Jerry, I get this all the time, is people go, why are you talking about Iran when we should be arming our military reservists that are in recruitment centers? And so if I talk about that, then I get a phone call from somebody else that says, why are you talking about arming the military recruitment centers when we should be talking about the invasion from Mexico? You see what I mean? I tend to run into that all the time. Now let me come back to the media issue here, Jerry.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is why I get up every single day, okay? I get up, I go to work. because I got a car payment, I got a house payment, I got to put food on the kids' table. And if I talk about the things that are going to make people switch elsewhere, then I don't have the people listening to this show. CNN doesn't have the people following. Fox doesn't have the people following. It doesn't happen. Media is a business. And I keep trying to drive this point home. Media is a business. If you want, hang on, Jerry. If you want something different, then we have to have.
Supposed to see, like I might be a little older than you, and I come from the old school of, aren't they supposed to report? And by the way, thank you for giving me the time.
Yeah.
Aren't they supposed to be reporting the truth and nothing but the truth? And
well, this is the truth. Is there something false about what I've said today?
No, I'm not talking about
All right.
you.
So
I'm
beyond that, you have to understand that editorial.
let's use this for instance. I'll use what's going on, like the Donald Trump. I'm not saying not to bring it up. But it's the number one thing they talk. I mean, that's the headline. So
because this is what people care about, Jerry. This is what's accessible to people. Okay, but that's not the media's fault.
No, I know, but they.
Okay, and if you want people that are not beholden to ratings, which is understandable, I get that. Okay, you say, okay, I don't want somebody reporting on things that are of the most interest to the typical Joe Schmo in America. I want somebody to report on these things that I deem to be valuable. That's fine. But if you do that, you can't tie it then to ratings, because ratings are tied to advertising, which means you have to have an advertising-free medium, which means that you're supporting a state-sponsored media.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Everything is just ratings, and they don't really care if they're actually coming out. Like when you would talk about, like, say, for instance, if Donald Trump they're giving Donald Trump all this thing, and getting back to your statement that, yes, we do want to know about who's going to be the next president of the United States. Of course. All we hear about is Donald Trump. We very rarely now anymore hear about
I'm glad
Hillary.
you brought that up. Jerry, I'm so glad you brought that up. And listen, Jerry, I'm up against the clock here. I'm so glad you brought that clock.
Thank you very much for taking the time, but I had a great time talking with you, man. You got a great show.
Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it. Jerry makes a great point. We're talking about Trump. Now, is that by media's design or is that by Trump's design? 602-260-KFYI. 602-260-KFYI. We'll continue to get your thoughts on this and Trump's response, which is, hey, look over there, a squirrel. It's next here on News Talk 550 KFYI.
Yay! Mike Broom had joined me and Andrew Babinski as we tried to fill in the blanks on Blank the News with Rob Hunter every day at 7:50 on News Talk 550 KFYI.
The Periscope conversation off the air has been really second to none, too. It's at Voice of Merrill on Periscope, at Voice of Merrill, MERRILL. We've got a number of people that think the United States is not the greatest country on earth, and that Donald Trump is the only one that can save it. I also believe, hang on, Ab, we've got a number of different wagers out there, don't we? Most of them have to do with fruit-flavored pies of some sort.
Yeah, we have those written down.
We need to write down another one. I just bet at AZ Mexicali a 12-pack. AZ Mexicali on Periscope says that Donald Trump is going to win the presidency, and I bet him a 12-pack.
Did you specify what the 12-pack was going to be?
No, it could be a 12-pack of
Jell-O cups.
Baby formula. Jell-O shots would be great, too, yeah. Al is in Prescott. Al up on News Talk 550 KFYI. Al, welcome to the show.
Yeah, hey, I'm a Vietnam veteran with a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for your service.
Trump is not my first choice for president. However, in this issue, I have to agree with him. I've already sent a letter to McCain expressing all of my dissatisfactions with him, including the fact that I hope he doesn't ever run for office again, because as far as I'm concerned, he's a waste.
But when you say that you agree with him, you agree that McCain is not a war hero?
Would I say he's not a war hero? No, I said in his letter that I respect your service as I respect everyone who's ever served.
Okay.
And I did say that in my letter to him. But on the other, then I went into all the things I think he's done wrong. So.
That's fair enough. Listen, Al, that's fair enough. That's political criticism, okay? And you and I can have a debate over the political criticism, but I think you and I find that common ground that we're gonna probably say, listen, Trump, you might not feel that McCain has done enough for veterans. You might not feel like he's done enough to fight illegal immigration. So be it. That's a different conversation. But I think you and I can agree on this: that a POW who served 5.5 years in a prison camp and did so in service to his country. That's a hero.
Been in a prison for the last 5.5 years. If you look who's in Washington, that's another issue. I don't want to get into that. I really appreciate you giving me this time, and I also want to say one quick thing. The last caller, I think, was 100% right on. You think people want to talk about it, and yes, I did call in, but that's because I listen to the show. I don't call in every day, but I listen to these shows all the time. But I think you're spending way too much time on this. If Trump wanted the publicity, he got it, and you're giving it to him. The bottom line is, most of us feel, and I'm a veteran, and I speak for many, many, many of my veterans. As a matter of fact, every veteran I know agrees with me. McCain should not run anymore for office. And
right.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Al. Take care. All right. Oh, hang on here. Somebody boned up the phones. Well, listen, your thoughts, 602-260-KFYI, 602-260-KFYI. Darren is already yelling at me. He says I got to go to break here, so we're going to do that. I do want to tell you real quick here, and then we'll get your phone calls because they are of the utmost importance to me, especially on a topic like this.
The Glenn Beck Program, weekday evenings at 7, only on News Talk 550 KFYI, the Valley's talk station.
Hey there, Chris Merrill, News Talk 550 KFYI. The topic on my Periscope, which is at Voice of Merrill on Periscope, is pretty incredible. It's Trump says something stupid, and I'm the one criticized. And, of course, that's what we're seeing. And Trump is really the master at this, isn't he? And I'm getting the same thing on the phone calls, too. And that is that Trump can say something incredibly stupid. I mean, incredibly stupid. And then turn around and say the media is taking him out of context. Man, that is great. I mean, that is really great. This is magnificent. Really, I mean, at this point, Trump could say anything he wanted to. Anything. And then if it doesn't poll right, if it's not popular, if he gets criticized for it, he just say, well, the media is taking it all out of context. It's wonderful. And then, to the credit of the gentleman that called earlier on, he controls it. Trump is, to his credit, Trump is controlling the conversation. He really is he not? I mean, Trump is controlling it because we're not talking about Ted Crazy. We're not talking about Marco Rubio. We're not talking about Jeb Bush. We're not talking about Scott Walker, who does lead in the polls in Iowa. We're not talking about the other candidates. Carly Fiorina? Never heard of her, right? We're not talking about these other candidates. Chris Christie hasn't been heard of, and everybody thought Chris Christie was going to be the loudmouth. Nobody's talking about him. Trump is controlling the conversation. Now, here's one thing that I don't understand, and maybe you trumpeters, maybe you can help me out on this one, because here is one thing I just don't understand. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hey, Darren, Tara, Abrielle, the producers and directors in the program, did I miss a press release? Is John McCain running for president? Did he just not tell us on Friday when he was on the show?
Not according to my calculations.
Okay, so he's still not running for president.
Pretty sure not.
Yep, he's not.
Okay. So why is Donald Trump wasting his time?
To get media attention?
Oh, all right. Well, that seems to work. Penn Jillette running for president? Did I miss that press release? Did I miss that announcement? Is Penn Jillette?
Not that I know of.
Still not running for president?
Wouldn't be the first time I was wrong, though.
But why is Donald Trump spending his time talking about, criticizing, lambasting these other people? Here is a guy, and I don't know how he does. I mean, he will respond to the pettiest criticism. Here is a guy that has thinner skin than I do, and that's saying something, because I go home and cry myself to sleep every night.
Aww.
It amazes me that McCain can come out and say something about Donald Trump bringing out the crazies, and he's right. He can say something about about Trump bringing out the crazies, and all of a sudden, John McCain has been the focus of Trump's attacks for the last week.
Do you think it's because he's not threatened by it? Because no, they're not actually running. So instead of him giving more attention to another candidate who's running, he would do it to somebody who's not? I
think it's possible. I think it's entirely possible. What he's doing is he says, focus on me. You know, I'm going to fight with Trump. I'm going to fight with McCain. I'm going to fight with Penn Jillette. I'm going to fight with the Kardashians. I'm going to fight with Jenner. I'm going to fight with whomever I want, but I'm not going to bring attention to any of the other candidates. I mean, he's done that a little bit where he's criticized Jeb Bush or he's criticized somebody else, but for the most part, he's just not done that. He seems to be going off on people who are of really no consequence. None. I mean, if Trump wants to get out of the race and wants to run or wants to fund, say, Kelly Ward in her campaign against John McCain, or if he wants to try to encourage Matt Salmon to run against McCain, then so be it, right? I mean, then we go, okay, now we see what he wants to do. He wants to change the composition of the Senate. He wants to change the representation from Arizona. That'd be one thing, but he's not. He's not. He's doing nothing, but he is creating these very inconsequential yet passionate arguments. He's getting people riled up, and he knows how to do it. And I give him all the credit in the world. He knows how to do this. I mean, right now, we just had a veteran call, right? And a veteran says that he supports Donald Trump. Why does he support Donald Trump? He likes what Donald Trump has to say. Why does he like what Donald Trump has to say? Because what he's done is Donald Trump has attacked John McCain. So now what he says is he goes, look, a vote for me is a vote against John McCain. That's what he's done. Donald Trump has dodged the draft as much as Bill Clinton did. Donald Trump has no military service. I don't know how any veteran says that Donald Trump is going to be an ally to them when the first thing Donald Trump does is he goes and he attacks somebody's prisoner status. Oh, that's not a hero. He got captured. That's not a hero. And the veterans are like, that's right. Yeah, we support him. I don't understand it. I don't understand at all. I don't understand why this guy all of a sudden the veterans are going to go, oh, this guy is a champion for veterans. He just insulted prisoners of war. He dodged the draft. The closest he's come to service was the Grand Marshal of a Vets Parade 20 years ago. I mean, hell, I drove on Veterans Memorial Highway. Does that mean I'm a big supporter? I mean, I am, but it's not just because I drove on the highway. There's no substance to it, but it doesn't matter because he speaks with his soaring rhetoric. Neil is in Gilbert. Neil up on News Talk 550 KFYI. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, hi, Chris. Thanks for taking my call. I take exception to you're basically agreeing with McCain that people who are agreeing with Trump are crazies. I hold a bachelor's in engineering, a master's in finance. I'm licensed to be a foster parent in the state of Arizona, and for you to blanket a statement again, you've got your head so far up McCain's butt, frankly, it's pretty sickening, okay? So why don't you see what the background is of people before you start attacking them?
But here, look how easily it is to get you riled up, Neil. Look how easy it is to access your emotion. You just gave me all your credibility of all the reasons I shouldn't think you're crazy, and the first thing you do is you start yelling and insulting people. It's so easy to get you riled up. This is exactly what Trump does.
And let me tell you another thing.
There we go.
Two good friends of mine are fighter pilots. One of them flies the F-16. I asked him. I said, hey, if a guy gets shot down, what do you think? They go, the first thing we think is he screwed up. Okay? So no one's doubting that McCain, endured a lot in Vietnam. I supported McCain. I campaigned for him for president. But don't call people a bunch of crazies just because we don't agree with you.
I'm sorry, Neil. You're proving my point here. You're so easy.
You're a monkey in front of a microphone. Okay,
there you go.
You're a monkey. You are a paid monkey.
There you go.
That's all you are, buddy. That's all you are.
Okay.
You're just a paid little monkey, and anyone who disagrees, you've got the power to dump the call. You're a monkey.
I do have the power to dump the call, but
pathetic.
as they say, don't murder someone that's committing suicide.
So far up, but pathetic. You really are.
And you foster children?
You are pathetic.
You foster children, Neil? Is that true?
Oh,
what? Did he hang up on me?
Yeah, he hung up on you.
Oh, are you kidding me? I was going to give him as much rope as he wanted. That was really excellent. No. Neil, listen, you sound totally sane. Definitely. I mean, everything you just said doesn't at all prove my point that you're crazy. Thank you for that. And thank you for fostering children. And who says that the foster system is screwed up?
Chris, you should put that on your new Twitter bio. I'm just a paid monkey in front of a microphone.
Actually, that's a really good idea.
Yeah,
I'm going to change that. I am going to change my Twitter bio, actually, as we speak. Perfect. All right.
Rob Hunter, every day on the Mike Broomhead Show at 27 past the hour, we bring you the KFYI download. We cover the big news stories of the day and combine it with Broomhead's thoughts. Only here on News Talk 550 KFYI.
Oh, my. Hey, didn't we have a guy call last week that said that the turnout at the Donald Trump rally was evidence that people in Arizona liked Donald Trump and that he was going to win? Did you see Bernie Sanders had 11,000 people show up? Does that mean that Bernie Sanders is now a viable candidate?
Exactly. Good point.
Yeah, no. Bernie Sanders is not a viable candidate. No, not a viable candidate. No, he gets people riled up, but not a viable candidate whatsoever. There was another thing that Trump said, too, that nobody really caught on to. I'll tell you what that is coming up here in just a little bit, because this is one that I think could actually, I don't know, if he hadn't said the McCain stuff, this would probably be something people would jump on, but because he said the McCain stuff, I think that they're going to give him a pass on it. Let's have Casey in Santan. Casey up on News Talk 550 KFYI. Casey, go ahead.
Yes. I just want to say that Trump is not my candidate for president, but I do.
Hello?
And I do agree with him that McCain is not a hero. McCain is a patriot, just like every other soldier who has gone to war and given their life and been in prison camps and even the ones that haven't. They are all patriots and heroes. Why do we single him out just because he's in Congress? I could care less about his congressional. I don't like him as a congressman, but I will forever respect him for giving body and soul at the war. But then I respect all the soldiers, not just McCain. And it makes me sick that we put McCain up on a pedestal.
Well, I don't think anybody's putting McCain up on a pedestal. I think that Trump said that he doesn't like people that get captured. He says McCain's only a hero because he got captured, and he likes people that don't get captured.
Would we have heard about McCain if he hadn't spent time at the Hanoi Hilton?
I don't know. There's lots of people that spend time at the Hanoi Hilton that you haven't heard of.
I was going to say, can you name the others? They are just as much a hero if McCain's a hero. The only reason we mention McCain is he's in the Senate, and that, to me, disqualifies him from a lot of stuff.
So, but I mean, he entered the public field after he came back from Vietnam.
I know.
Right. So I mean, that's why we've heard of him.
Has he always done for the public? I mean,
would you have heard of Marco Rubio if he weren't governor of Florida and weren't running for president? I mean, I guess I don't understand what you're saying here. How are we?
That these guys these guys went to war.
Yeah.
And protected Trump's First Amendment right.
Right.
What he needed to say.
True.
I want to honor all the soldiers. I don't want to just honor McCain because he's in the Senate, because I hold that against him. As far as I'm concerned, he hasn't helped his fellow soldiers by making the VA better and things like that.
All right, so that's a political conversation to have. That's fine, but I don't think anybody's not honoring other POWs or other patriots. Well, I don't think anybody's saying that they shouldn't be honored.
Well, no, I know that.
So I guess my question, let me throw this back, Casey.
Because McCain's in the public eye, everybody talks about what a hero McCain is. No, McCain's a patriot. Everyone's a hero. If McCain's a hero, everyone's a hero that's gone to war because they have protected us. And I get sick of hearing about McCain.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye-bye. Okay. Did you follow that? I feel like Trump's singled out McCain on that deal. I mean, if we're going to talk about everybody, I think Trump was the one that singled out McCain on it. Maybe I'm wrong. Dan's in Phoenix. Dan up here on News Talk 550 KFYI. Oh, correction. I mentioned Marco Rubio as governor. I meant senator. My apologies. I wanted to make that correction here. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
I guess I'm one of the crazies because I support Donald Trump.
Now, listen.
Is that true?
Yeah. Now, how in the world do you support the guy after you found out all this stuff about his military service, about how he's disrespecting veterans right now, and then he says that he's going to be the one that's going to make things better for the VA?
The one way Donald Trump will lose my vote right now is if he apologizes to McCain.
Really?
I like somebody who stands by what they say.
Well, he does do that.
I really don't care. I like the fact that he stays true to what he is. and that's enough for me. And I've been listening to the station for years.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was crazy until today.
Well, you learn something new every day.
I think that you attack people because they support a candidate. I think that's just wrong.
All right. So if I were to say that the 11,000 people that support Bernie Sanders are nuts, that would be wrong?
I'm sorry, what?
There's 11,000 people that showed up to support Bernie Sanders over the weekend. If I were to say that they were nuts, would I be wrong?
I'm an American citizen. I can support what I want to. That doesn't mean I'm right or wrong.
If the 11,000 people that showed up to support – no, Dan, answer the question. If 11,000 people showed up to support Bernie Sanders and I said that they were nuts, should I not say that?
That's your opinion, but what you're doing is you're calling people crazy because they support a candidate.
So if they support Hillary Clinton and I tell them that they're idiots, then I'd be wrong.
Yeah, but I don't really know very many people that support Hillary who want to listen to this station.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks, Dan.
I mean, I thought we were on the same. I don't know.
All right. No, it's good. No, we like to surround ourselves with like-minded people because that's how America works. Here's my point. People really can't take it. Oh, my gosh. I was just called. In fact, I did change my my Twitter handle here. It's monkey behind a microphone on Twitter. But if I say that you are an idiot for supporting Hillary Clinton, and mind you, Hillary Clinton supporters, I do think you're an idiot. I'm sorry. It's basically congratulations. You found the Loch Ness Monster, and now you're voting for her. So if that makes me sorry, I'm going to call it like I see it. I actually liked, we had the woman that said somebody in the Senate, she says, that knocks him down a notch if you ask me, whether it's McCain or anybody else. I actually kind of agree with her on that. I do. They all drive me nuts. Now, the evangelicals seem to have missed something else that Donald Trump said here over the weekend. A little surprised that nobody jumped on that. All right, that's still to come, as well as bad news for you if you've been trying to have a discreet affair, because it's not so discreet any longer. Why you're about to be outed. Better make up that couch. It's going to be your bed for a while. It's next. It's Chris Merrill, News Talk 550 KFY. Welcome back. Chris Merrill, News Talk 550 KFYI. Tara just sent me a complaint that we got.
That's part of my job.
Yeah, I should be spending more time telling people what Democrats not to vote for. Oh, I'm sorry. Was there a question? Were you accidentally going to vote for Bernie Sanders? Was that something that I should have been concerned with?
Yes, that's part of your job as a monkey.
As a monkey with a microphone, I always wondered if Sean Hannity spends a lot of time condemning Hillary Clinton, and believe me, she drives me nuts. But is there a concern that the people watching his show would accidentally mark Hillary Clinton for president? Is that something?
Well, Chris, it could happen. You could accidentally mark it.
You never know. Hey, coming up here in less than 10 minutes, we're going to talk with Stuart Fensterheim. Stuart is a marriage and family counselor in Scottsdale, and I asked him to be on the program because of the story that came out today about the Ashley Madison website being hacked. This is interesting because I've seen a couple of people say the same thing. They're like, good. I thought, good? Yeah, good. Good, why? Headline, New York Post, horn dogs using this website are in big trouble. Hackers claim to have personal details of more than 37 million cheating spouses on the dating website Ashley Madison and have threatened to release nude photos and sexual fantasies of the site's clients unless it is shut down. Ashley Madison's Canadian parent, Avid Life Media, confirmed the breach on its systems and said that it had since secured its site and was working with law enforcement agencies to try and trace those behind the attack. They leaked snippets of the compromised data online and warned that they would release customers' real names, profiles, nude photos, credit card details, and secret sexual fantasies unless their demands were met. Darren, they might leak our nude photos.
How many wives do you think logged on there today? To check up on their husband, see if his information was there?
I think this is a major misconception.
Why is that, Chris?
Because I think you're assuming that all of the clients are men.
Oh, that's a good point.
Oh, there are a lot of women, yeah.
I think there are.
Right,
they say that women are more likely to have an affair than men.
Don't you think that's karma, though? Like, that's what you get for signing up for a website like that? Like, I don't feel bad. Their information's
that's what you get?
Oh, absolutely. That's what you get for cheating on your spouse
But
on
cheating
some
on your spouse,
stupid app.
But cheating on your spouse isn't illegal. Hacking one's personal information and leaking their naked pictures is.
It's a moral issue, though. It's not even about law. It's just a moral issue. And to me, I'm like, well, what goes around comes around, so serves you right.
So,
I'm a stickler, though.
So, yeah, you have no heart. So, like, for instance, the fappening, when all the celebrity nude photos were leaked, people complained that was a violation of their privacy. Their personal information had been leaked out there.
Right.
And were you okay with that? Like, that's what you get for putting your stuff out there.
I mean, yeah, actually, if you take any nude picture of yourself and send it to somebody, the chances that it might get out are always there. So it's definitely something you have to think about. But this, to me, is a little bit more, I mean, it's comparing two, if you want to say it this way, it's comparing two wrongs, for lack of better words. It's just kind of like, well, you're cheating on your husband or your wife, and your information's going to be exposed on the website. Panic mode ensues, and I just don't feel bad about it. That's pretty much it.
So if someone is unfaithful with their spouse,
yes,
then they deserve to have their nude photos, their credit card information, and their sexual fantasies displayed for the whole world to see.
Sure. You put it out there, so.
Wow.
Don't you find it really disturbing that don't they have like 37 million people that are signed up?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, that's more than 10% of the U.S. population.
Wow.
Now, Ashley Madison is worldwide, though, so I want to make sure that we, clarify that it's not just U.S. customers, but it is 37 million people that are interested in hooking up. And how many people are on there that they're on there and their spouse is on there?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just don't think that ID theft is an acceptable consequence for somebody that's having an affair. Because having an affair is dishonest, immoral, unethical. Agreed. But it's not illegal. And so hacking somebody's website, putting out their personal information for identity theft is absolutely illegal, immoral, unethical. So I can't, I'm sorry, I can't come out and go, oh, well, that's what you get. You did something immoral and unethical, so now it's okay to do something else. Back to you.
Well, there's a logical reaction and there's an emotional reaction.
Right.
And I think more with me, it would be classified as an emotional reaction of just, of course, nobody wants their stuff hacked and it's never okay. It is illegal, all that jazz. But to me, I'm like, gosh, more than any of these other hacks, I think this is kind of like, I don't really feel that bad about it. If you're going to cheat on your spouse and you're going to sign up, not only just cheat on your spouse, but sign up for a website where you just like hook up and all that stuff, I just don't feel bad that their information was hacked. I mean, that's just an emotional thing. Call me heartless or whatever, but I just
Gabrielle,
don't.
it's not just a hookup. It's looking for something that's missing in a relationship.
Well, you shouldn't have gotten married to begin with then.
Wow.
Work on your marriage.
You make marriage sound like it's so easy.
Just teaches you when you take nude pictures, make sure you don't have any face shots.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Darren. Or in my case,
Darren,
in my case, don't have any shots of your genitals because people will point and laugh. And that's the other thing you don't want out there. Like, even if if your face is not in the picture, I mean, you're going to recognize your tiny, tiny junk.
Oh, now I get why you don't want these people's information posted.
Right, it's embarrassing. It's awful. Especially if you're in the if you're posting in one of those women seeking men with very, very small genitals section. If you're in that section, it's very embarrassing. I can tell you this right now. It's I don't want that information leaked out there. It's something I'm very concerned with. Very concerned all the way around. Actually, Ab, what you're saying is what I think a lot of people, and maybe this is something that's going to drive people toward trying to fix their marriage instead of taking the risk at having an affair in a manner like this. Because really, this is absolutely a huge risk, is it not? I mean, anytime somebody has an affair, they're taking a risk. But as you just pointed out, it's an enhanced risk when you're putting it all out there online, right?
Oh, for sure. On an app on your phone.
Yeah, this isn't like the CEO having an affair with his secretary. That's bad enough. But imagine if the CEO is having an affair with his secretary and there's nude photos, and there's credit card information, and there's sexual fantasies, and that can be seen by everybody. Now, let me raise one other question here, too, Ab. Let's just, and I know you've got this emotional reaction, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you're saying, okay, you know what? If you're going to do that, if you're going to violate somebody else's trust, that's what the affair is violating somebody else's trust for your owners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you say, good, you deserve that. Isn't that punishing the spouse as well? I mean, isn't that putting your dirty laundry out there for everyone? Oh, that's Darren. His wife cheated on him. You know, she likes pygmies from Australia. I saw it on her profile. Right. And then Darren's like, oh, man, now everybody knows that my wife was dishonest. Everybody knows that my wife cheated on me. Everybody knows that evidently I'm not a good enough husband. I mean, isn't that punishing the spouse that didn't do anything wrong?
Oh, absolutely. You're completely right with that.
I know.
I don't know. I just don't.
You don't care. You're like, well, listen, your marriage is screwed and this is salacious and I want to know.
I feel bad. Of course, I would feel bad just even the fact that the husband or the wife is on this app or cheating on them to begin with. But, yeah, putting the dirty laundry out there is not ideal. I'm just saying personally, out of all the hacks that have happened, this is one that I'm like, well, serves you right.
Well,
you know?
Well, there it is.
That's all I got.
It's somebody on Periscope that said, do you really care about your wife at that point anyway? I would argue, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I would argue that people do still care about their spouses. And maybe they don't realize that they care about their spouses. Maybe it's something like this that is shocking a few people into going, oh, my God, what am I going to throw away? This is terrible, all because I was selfish in one manner or another. What is going on?
It's the interview with John McCain and his rebuttal to Donald Trump. You can hear it, KFYI.com, keyword Broomhead.
It's News Talk 550 KFYI talking about the hack threat there at Ashley Madison, and it left us wondering, not only, because we know Ashley Madison's been a controversial website since its inception because it basically is an outlet. Some would say that it promotes it, but it's certainly an outlet for those looking to have an extramarital affair. In fact, that's their entire advertising foundation, looking for a discreet and extramarital affair. Here you go. Now the hackers get in there and they threaten to release the names of anybody that's ever crossed the Ashley Madison threshold, perhaps the moral line that is into adultery. And so we kind of wondered, what is it that pushes people to that in the first place? And I think many people think maybe sexual exploration or this proclivity toward adventure is part of that. Well, to help straighten that out right now is marriage and family counselor Stuart Fensterheim. So, Stuart, I guess the pressing question, the most obvious question is, why does someone go then to a website like AshleyMadison.com in the first place, looking for something that they know is a violation of the commitment that they made with the other person?
I think it's the same question about why do people have affairs.
Right.
And I think the number one thing in my mind is a feeling of loneliness and disconnect from their partner. People, when they really are in a relationship, what people are looking for is to have a significant person in their life, someone that they've made a commitment to, that they truly feel important to and feel like they're going to get their emotional needs met. When that doesn't happen, what happens is people go into what we call a primal panic, because feeling connected is no longer, what we know through the research we've done on love and relationships, it's no longer that it's nice to have. We all need that. It really is a true need. And if our need is not being met by the person we're in the relationship with, we will do just about anything to get that need met. So people have this sort of distorted impression that if they seek it elsewhere, it will satisfy that need that they're not getting met in their marriage.
So how much of this is a sexual need and how much of this is just, an individual validation type quest?
From my perspective, very little is just about sex.
Okay.
I think what sex really is about is it's a way for people to feel that presence and emotional connection so that there is a sexual need and desire and all of that comes into play here. But for the most part, particularly I think for men, the sexuality is really one of the few places that they feel that they can get their emotional needs met. At least that's what we've been conditioned to. And part of my work with couples is to really begin to take that need and begin to put words to it, and then allow couples to begin to really talk about what is necessary for someone to truly get those emotional needs met, and what can both of them do to really be present for each other in that way.
So let's talk then about the differences between the men and the women. You mentioned that the men, that they find that intimacy with sex. They sort of find that that emotional connection. With women, is it that they have to have the emotional connection first before they have sex? Is that sort of the difference here? Is the order of attainment?
I think some of it is dependent on how we define sexuality, because I don't think the gender difference is drastic as most people think. I think men have been conditioned that that's where they can express those needs. Mm-hmm. I think both men and women have an incredible desire and closeness and affection and playfulness. And it's really more about the playfulness, because I see sexuality in a relationship is just an extension of men and women playing together, just like we did when we were kids. We played house. We did all those kinds of things. You can jump on a trampoline or you can just have sex. It's just one more element of being playful and present and really letting each other know how much you appreciate each other in your life.
Joining me right now is Stuart Fensterheim with a couples counseling expert.
Let me give you the name of the practice. It's the Couples Expert Scottsdale is the name of my practice.
Okay, and you'll find them online at thecouplesexpertscottsdale.com. Stuart, you talk about sort of the playing together, being present with one another. And I think that we find out more and more that sex plays an integral role in those relationships. Is it that people have lost a general interest in one another then? Is that why sort of the bedroom suffers and people then go looking for that on a site like Ashley Madison? Is there more to it than that?
There's definitely more to it than that. Really what it's really about is about fear and anxiety of not getting your needs met. So that if you feel that if you really are vulnerable with your partner, they're going to reject you, then you get sort of caught into these cycles where you go, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? I can't get my needs met. If I really talk to my partner about what I truly need, they may reject me. And there isn't this feeling of emotional safety. And I think what I do with couples that I see is people try to talk about things, but they have the wrong dialogue. If I can help couples really talk about what's really important to them so that they truly feel that they're in a relationship with someone who cares about them more than anyone else in the world, if I can have two people talking about those things and see that the good, the bad, the good things about you, the things that even you don't like about you, if your partner says those are some of the same kinds of things that they actually find appealing and that's part of why they do love you, then you have a secure relationship, and then you can talk about just about anything.
What do you do now, Stuart, when you run into someone that, or a couple, that just don't match, say, in the bedroom, where they have similar parenting philosophies, similar philosophies on life, and yet maybe one person is more adventurous in their intimate life than the other person. They just don't seem to match on that level. Where do you go with something like that?
I mean, my experience has been if I can get two people to really talk about how important they are for one another, and because of those emotional needs that we all have and really want to feel secure in a relationship, people are usually willing to really meet their partner wherever they need to be met, with limits, of course.
Sure.
So, for instance, I have couples who talk about, the bedroom feeling quite boring, or one partner is not adventurous as another. And really, if we get our emotional needs met, we're really willing to meet our partner halfway. And I haven't found too many couples where they truly feel important to one another that they're not willing to stretch.
What is it that you say is Okay, you run into couples and you just go, I'm sorry, gang, you guys just are not right for each other. Do you run into a situation like that?
No, I don't.
Really?
And I do a different kind of counseling than some other marriage counselors, I think. You know, people come to counselors for lots of different reasons, and a lot of people come in to see me and say, okay, we want your help figuring out if we should be together. My experience with the techniques that I use, which is a technique called emotionally focused therapy, is that there is no couple who truly want to make the marriage work that can't find a pathway to truly have a relationship where there is absolutely no question that they're in the right relationship because they're loved more than anyone else in the world loves them, and that's their partner sitting there. And there is now, through the research that we have, a clear map of how do you get from point A to point B, point A being insecure, caught up into these cycles, to now having a secure, loving relationship where you know you'll never be alone again.
That seems like a lot of work. I mean, it would be a lot easier just to sign up for a website, don't you think?
Yeah, right. Sign up for a website, they'll solve it all. As long as you don't care what happens to your information.
Yeah, consequences be damned. We don't even worry about it. Stuart, thank you so much. Marriage and family counselor Stuart Fensterheim. And again, you find out more with Stuart. It's the Couples Expert Scottsdale, and online at thecouplesexpertscottsdale.com. And Stuart, you've been great. Go ahead.
Another thing, if I might,
yes.
is I'm actually offering a free PDF for folks. I've got a PDF that I've done through a podcast that I do. I also do a podcast.
Okay.
The Couples Expert Podcast on iTunes. And I am offering a free PDF that says, don't just survive, but thrive after an affair. So if people want that, all they have to do is give me their email address, and I'll send them a free PDF.
Cool. Easy to find. TheCouplesExpertScottsdale.com, and Stuart has it all. Stuart, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for what you do for these couples throughout the Valley.
My pleasure.
All right, take care of yourself. Best to you.
You too.
Well, hopefully we got some good insight in there, and hopefully we are able to help some marriages that maybe are feeling, stagnant right now. And maybe a few people can go on some dates with their married counterparts. Maybe we freshen things up just a little bit. I'm hoping to God that Mrs. Voice of Merrill isn't listening right now, because she's going to expect so much from me, as she tends to do. Oh, it drives me bonkers with that whole, why don't you ever treat me? Oh, amazing. All right, the flooding has become an issue, and what does that mean to travel plans? That is next.
A progressive website outlines the demand for free college for everyone on the next Mike Broomhead Show. News Talk 550, KFYI.
News Talk 550, KFYI. I'm Chris Merrill. Have I mentioned that I just love Periscope? We've literally been brainstorming the show on Periscope. I'm working with people listening to the program, brainstorming this next bit here. The question that we're asking on Periscope, it's at Voice of Merrill on your Periscope app, at Voice of Merrill, MERRILL, is what is going to be the first big name that would be released in the Ashley Madison breach? The first big name.
Ooh.
Right? Isn't that a great question?
That's juicy.
Yeah, I have people that are like, oh, is it David Cassidy? Is it going to be Mike Broomhead? Is it going to... No, it won't be Broomhead. They're asking, is it Joe Biden? Sheriff Joe? That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Obama.
You think Obama's on Ashley Madison? They question Nancy Pelosi. Maybe she's got the handle Pom Pom Pelosi on Ashley Madison. Wouldn't you like to see the naked photos and the sexual fantasies of Nancy Pelosi come out?
Or Blake Shelton.
Yeah, what a coincidence that Blake Shelton and Miranda Lambert announced divorce today. Huh?
Right.
Yeah, the same day as the Ashley Madison stuff comes out. Huh, that's weird. Kim Jong-un?
Oh.
Looking for love in all the wrong places. Jesse Jackson?
He's a known cheater, though.
Jesse is? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's been all over the papers for years that he's cheated on his wife, and she just kind of looks the other way.
Yeah, it's probably one of those things where he just no shame in it. It's like he doesn't need to sign up for a website. It's like, this is what's happening.
Right.
He's open about it.
I like a website where I get my pick, and I like it when I get to show pictures of is it possible Ayatollah Khomeini? That would be a shocker, wouldn't it? Like, oh, take that, Sharia law. Boom. El Chapo? Nothing? Hello?
I think El Chapo. I mean, I'm sorry, I got nothing.
Like, I got nothing. Like, he digs this long tunnel. The first thing he does is he re-ups his head. He's like, hey, sorry I was gone for a while, but I'm back.
Oh, what if that's how they traced him back?
we got you. Maybe Bert? Just Bert. Don't tell Ernie. Shh.
Yeah, I was like, can you finish that one?
Would it be karma if Edward Snowden's name were released on that Ashley Madison breach? Like, oh, man.
I wouldn't feel bad about it.
I wouldn't feel. There would be no remorse. None. Like, well, that's what you get. Right, Ab? Well, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Brian Williams might actually say that he's on there, but he's not.
Just to get attention. Just to get back in the spotlight.
I remember when my name was released on Ashley Madison. It was a very traumatic experience, and I'm glad that I got through it. Brian Williams, you weren't on Ashley Madison. Damn it, you got me again. Grr. Grr. Did you guys want to do any road trips this weekend? Head up to Wickenburg? Wow.
Not personally.
Did you see the flooding in Wickenburg?
Yeah, insane.
Man. They had like 3 inches of rain come down in like no time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like 3 inches just dumped on them.
And it's cool because it seems like across the board, everyone's kind of being there for their neighbors, you know, because this lady, she was saying, she's like, I've seen it come down like this before. And she's like, but nothing like this, nothing to this extent. And she's like, we're a small city. We're all helping each other out. And it's sad. The pictures are really sad.
Yeah. But, well, you know what? You raise a great point. It seems to be in the greatest catastrophes when we tend to see the greatest side of humanity, is it not?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So there it is. Wickenburg just dumped 3 inches of rain in just a few hours. That's significant. That is significant. Obviously, duh, Merrill. Thanks a lot for pointing out the obvious. But when this happens here, Wickenburg, our thoughts are with you guys. And I mean, you've impressed us. The way that your community has come together, you've impressed the rest of us, impressed the hell out of us. But I know there's a number of people there that they're in a bad spot right now. And that bridge collapse there in California, I guess. You see the detour that they had from Quartzsite? You heard Greg talking about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the detour was that you had to take, 95? They were saying you had to take 95 down to the 8, or you could take it north, and then you could cut back across the desert, just wash that bridge out completely.
Yeah, I was watching that on Fox 10 this morning. It was like, you can take this detour, and it's like way out of the way. Yeah, that's the main, I mean, everybody knows the I-10. That's where I got my speeding ticket. If you're going to L.A.,
that's how you go. Right. I mean, that's the only way to go, really,
if
you're going to L.A. Unless, like you said, you're going to go all the way around there. That is
at least it wasn't a big holiday weekend, like 4th of July or something. Could you imagine how many people would call in sick to work?
Well, we were talking about
stuck.
That. I'm sorry. I'm in the mud. Well, we were talking about that traffic jam that they had going to Las Vegas on 15 on Friday, right? When the cars caught on fire, the wildfire jumped onto the freeway, caught like 20 cars on fire. And then the rain comes down the next day. Where was that rain on Friday? That would have been helpful. Huh?
Right.
Put those cars out. So you got that mess on the 15, and then you've got this mess on the 10. It's been, I think it's Armageddon. It's a sign. It's a sign. We're being cut off. Is this the sign that California is about to fall into the ocean? Is this it? LA is doomed? It's just nature's way of separating California from the rest of the country before it slides into the ocean? And we had the warnings last week about the big one could actually hit up by Washington, right? Maybe just the entire left coast just.
Maybe Dwayne Johnson wasn't kidding. Earlier this
when
year
he tried to save the world, right? Yeah, I'm with you.
Where's he when we need him?
Maybe George Strait was onto something when he was trying to sell oceanfront property in Arizona. Am I right?
You're right.
He was up on that one. The Angels game got postponed. First time they've had a game postponed in Anaheim in 20 years. 20 years. Really remarkable. Really remarkable. But I'll tell you what. Well, the farmers needed the rain. Oh, they needed it. Oh, what a good plan. I hate when people say that. I turned that into drinking games. Anywhere I've ever lived, mind you, anywhere. I don't care if it's sister kissing country, it's in Tornado Alley. I don't care if it's Southern California, if it's Arizona. If it rains, someone will say, well, the farmers needed it. Just start doing shots right then.
I've never heard that.
You're so full of it. Really?
No, I really
You've never
haven't.
heard, well, the farmers needed the rain?
No.
Darren, you've heard this before, right?
I'm not from sister kissing country, though.
That's true, you're not.
Mind you.
No. No, you're not.
The rain here in the valley was crazy, too.
You know what farmers do, though, right? I mean, they raise crops, they harvest those. That's how it gets to Trader Joe's for you to pay too much.
Oh, my gosh, I didn't know that's how it worked.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for the clarification.
Yeah. Whole Foods, that stuff comes from somewhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
Got it. I thought they just grew it in the store.
No. Nope. There's actually farms that it all comes from.
And they needed the rain, so
the farmers
drink
needed
up.
the rain. They needed it. We talked a little bit earlier, and we'll dedicate some more time because it's fun riling people up over Donald Trump. But there is somebody that's apologizing for what they did to POWs. If you haven't heard this story, this is incredible, and it is next. Welcome back, Chris Merrill, News Talk 550 KFYI. The people of Mitsubishi have an apology. The people of Mitsubishi say, so sorry for using Americans as slave labor. Should not have done that.
Brutal treatment of World War II prisoners is the subject of Hollywood movies and history books. James Murphy lived through the horror, described as slavery.
It was a forced labor camp where you either worked or you died.
The 94-year-old American became a prisoner of war in 1942. He spent his early 20s in Japanese labor camps, enduring near starvation, regular abuse, watching fellow prisoners die. Murphy worked in a mine owned by Mitsubishi Mining Company, known today as Mitsubishi Materials.
Oh, I have their TV. Oh.
On Sunday in Los Angeles, it became the first Japanese corporation to publicly apologize for wartime atrocities.
Well, I mean, at least they did. Yee.
Elation and happiness that we finally, after 70 years, got a direct apology from the Japanese who mistreated us during World War II.
Can you imagine? I mean, this guy's 95. 70 years later, they're like, okay, all that stuff we did, our bad. We shouldn't have done that. How about some back wages, people? Plus interest. And a 401k.
Mitsubishi's apology comes as Japan prepares to mark 7 decades since the end of World War II. And it comes at a time when government leaders here in Tokyo are trying to move past the nation's war crimes. Ignoring protests and plunging approval ratings, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is pushing controversial legislation through the Japanese parliament, expanding the role of the nation's military for the first time since World War II. Mitsubishi is not offering financial compensation for...
See? Damn it.
POWs like Murphy, the Tokyo payouts to former prisoners, including British, Chinese, Koreans, and Filipinos.
Don't you think, seriously, don't you think Mitsubishi ought to give them all some stock options of some sort, or the families?
I'd say.
I would think, at the very least. I mean, they are literally where they are today because of the slave labor that they got back in the 40s.
We can go on now, even though we certainly haven't been living in the past, but we don't want to forget the past.
The apology comes far too late for all but a handful of survivors, now in their late 80s and 90s. Murphy says he forgave his captors long ago, but spent 70 years waiting for this moment, waiting to hear 2 simple words: we're sorry.
Yeah, but like you just said, how many people didn't get that apology? How many people were prisoners in the war camp and were indentured servants and didn't get the apology? Or as he pointed out, how many people did he watch die while he was at the war camp? It's a bad deal, man. It's a bad deal all the way around. And, I'm glad to see that Mitsubishi has come out and they've apologized for it. I mean, that they didn't have to do that, so it's good that they did. Just the same. Is that too little too late? I don't know. It's too little, I can tell you that, but I don't know if there's such a thing as saying that it's too late. I mean, like they said, he waited 70 years for it. At least he got it before he passed away. How many people didn't, though, is kind of the story that goes with that. Just the same. Isn't it funny how waning polling numbers all of a sudden mean that politicians, including in Japan, they look to expand their military presence? Huh, you don't say. One thing every country will rally behind is military presence, right? Always. No country is ever going to say, don't support our troops. And when the politicians, the going gets tough, if they feel like they're up against something, veteran affairs immediately becomes a big topic, doesn't it? As they try to sway that conversation. Okay, still to come here at 6:06. We're learning a little bit more about this Tennessee gunman, which means that we know actually a little bit less. It's remarkable how much this story is evolving. That is next. It's Chris Merrill on News Talk 550 KFYI. It's Chris Merrill on News Talk 550 KFYI. More comes out of the Tennessee shooter, and it seems to leave us with more questions than we had before. Now on News Talk 550 KFYI. Let's go! All right, big program here, big final hour to the show. We'll tell you why Trump is not the first person to say that McCain is not a hero for getting caught. That is still to come. Also, there seems to be an argument going on in the Periscope about whether or not veterans support McCain. And that is this Tennessee gunman thing. People pointing out that he may have been on antidepressants. That's what we're starting to see. Was he on antidepressants? See, this is the tricky one, because is this a cause and effect thing? I made the point before. Look, the antidepressants may have they may set people off. I mean, it messes with the chemicals, right? Right? On the other hand, the people's chemicals were already messed with, and that's why they're in the psychological condition that they're in the first place. So I made the comparison before. I go, man, a lot of people with cancer get chemotherapy and then they die. So is chemotherapy killing people or is cancer killing people? You see? And you go, well, obviously it's cancer. The chemotherapy is the treatment. All right, well, are the drugs the treatment or are they exacerbating the problem? This is what the question is. This is sort of the cyclical argument, I suppose, that we're waiting on the medical profession to determine. Shooter's friend comes out and starts talking about this guy in Tennessee.
Did you ever talk about the conflicts in the Middle East?
Not too much. It was more like what they're doing is wrong.
Who?
Muhammad. Who was doing wrong, or
right?
Like ISIS mainly, like groups, any terror groups, kind of like ISIS.
What did he say?
That it was a stupid group and it was completely against Islam.
All right, so he claims that, now this is before the trip to Jordan, but this shooter says that ISIS was against Islam. Stupid group. Did he still feel that way when he went all shooty?
And not to even think about going towards them. And I felt like it wasn't kind of in a sense of I'm with their group, so I don't want you to do like me. It was more like, just stay away. This is not where you should be going towards.
You felt that he truly believed in his heart at that moment that what ISIS is doing was wrong.
Yes, sir.
And that any kind of radical Islamic terrorism is wrong.
Yes, sir.
And he discussed that.
He did.
Did you ever notice anything out of sync with this guy?
I believe not. He was the most genuine, kind, sweet person.
We're starting to hear a lot of that, right? We're hearing a lot of people that are coming up and they're going, oh, he was such a great guy.
Yeah, they're like, I would have never known.
What a normal dude. Now, obviously, he's not normal. Because normal people don't go all shooty on recruitment centers, right? Let's see. Revelations about the shooter came as sources told CNN that writings uncovered by investigators indicated the shooter was displeased with the U.S. government, particularly its war on terror. But they say those writings are not recent. Some of those writings are more than a year old, predating his much-publicized trip to Jordan. They say they shouldn't be considered a diary of any sort. The writings also included other anti-U.S. sentiments and are consistent with someone who was having suicidal thoughts, according to some sources. The country mourns the deaths of 5 service members. You see that another one passed. And they're trying to learn what prompted the attack. First shot up the military recruiting center at Chattanooga Strip Mall, then drove to a local Navy operations support center, launched another attack, killed 4 Marines and a sailor. The shooter died in a gunfight with law enforcement. Hey, how about a quick round of applause for law enforcement here, huh? Nice round of applause for law enforcement, really. I mean, because here they go. They know that they've got an active shooter situation, and they go, let's saddle up. Let's go take care of this. Let's get on it. You know, if there is, and we'll talk about this in a little bit here, but people have talked about how media is ignoring things. And I'm telling you that Donald Trump knows how to get the headlines. And remarkably, the crazier Donald Trump sounds, the better his numbers are. I fully expect Donald Trump, by the end of the week, to tell us that making sweet, sweet love to a Cub Scout is probably okay. Because whatever he says, the crazier it sounds, the more... And this is what's we're going to get the phone call. It's going to be like, Donald Trump's onto something there. Those Boy Scouts do bring us delicious popcorn. They probably deserve some of our intimacy. That's what we're going to get. Nuts. So while we converse about Donald Trump, it is taking us off some of the other conversations about whether or not our military personnel should be able to carry a sidearm when they're at the recruitment center or these other military installations. And I think that's a legitimate conversation to have. I don't think that people are safer at these installations when they are, or even at the recruitment centers when they're not armed. Now, I do know, and people are not going to like this, but I do know that when you have more and more people that have the firearms, you do increase the opportunity for a potential accident. Decreasing that opportunity comes with extensive training, which these people have. So I feel like this is a situation where you've got the most well-trained individuals. Every Marine's a shooter, right? The most well-trained individuals are ready to, and I don't know why this conversation seems to be sort of disappearing all of a sudden. This conversation is being swept aside while we pay attention to the Looney Tunes around Donald Trump. They claim that this shooter had a hard time keeping a job because of his manic depressive / bipolar disorder and drug use for which he sought treatment with a psychiatrist. They say that he used drugs, including, are you ready for this? Marijuana. They say the drugs that he used reportedly included party drugs and marijuana. They say that he used marijuana heavily to the point that his parents were constantly calling to check on his whereabouts. So, marijuana did it. I got to tell you, when I spin the wheel of blame, it doesn't usually come up on marijuana. Usually marijuana, the stoners are not out there going, let's go get really animated and go shoot things. Usually the pot smokers kind of quell the anger, don't they? It doesn't usually bring up those angry emotions. Let's talk with Wade. Wade is in Phoenix up here on News Talk 550 KFYI. Wade, go ahead.
Hey, Chris. It's good to talk to you again. I'm the psychology grad student that spoke with you on your show after the Charleston shooting.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we keep having these conversations, isn't it?
There seems to be a recurring pattern. To start, you nailed it. There's no direct relationship between antipsychotics or antidepressant medication and these types of episodes. These people were already dispensed to commit acts of violence like this.
So why does this keep coming up? And why is it, are we get these shooters, and for some reason it comes out afterward that they had, bipolar disorder, manic depressive disorder, whatever it might be. We tend to get these reports. Are these mental conditions, illnesses, I should say, are these such that people are so predisposed that the medications can't seem to help?
You know, when you look, there's such as, we'll take schizophrenia, for example, medication is often the only option. As you said, I loved your example with cancer and chemotherapy. You know, a lot of people go on chemotherapy as a result of cancer, and, consequently, some of them do die. Is it the cancer or the chemotherapy? Often it's the cancer. Psychotropic medication is indicated in many states. Now, you're asking why this is happening with these mental illnesses. Of course, obviously, a sane person is not going to do something. Right. But you also have to consider the millions of people around the globe who contend with these issues that do not act out. So it doesn't necessarily predispel them to violence, but I think you will find that the ones who do commit the violent acts are usually struggling with a mental health issue. These are not the actual rational, sane person, no.
So the mental health seems to be the common thread. And what we're finding is that either somebody is ideologically predisposed to doing violence, as so many we're finding out, that are doing the nonsense in the name of whatever the group is, the deity, whatever it is that they're following at the time. Or we run into this, somebody is off kilter. I guess that's the best way to say it, off kilter.
Well, and a lot of these are very impressionable young men. I mean, to approach someone, our age, I'm 40, and, to try to convince me to undertake a radicalist agenda is probably not going to be as successful as somebody who still may not have reached peak maturity, still very, again, impressionable, trying to find themselves. There's the matter of wanting to belong. ISIS and Al-Qaeda are really very similar to street gangs in terms of they will lure you in with a sense of reward, of promise, of status, and then you're just reduced to cannon fodder. So I think a lot of it is, yes, mental health issues, no question, but also maturity. And, we have to look at some other factors of origin, such as the family structure. We have to look at, the full socioeconomic, demographic spectrum to see if there's a cultural factor at play here. There's, you just can't pin one tail on this donkey, I'm afraid.
Wade, will you sit tight with me? Because I've got another a question for you that is going to take us a little bit deeper, too, here in just a second. But I got to do traffic. Are you cool?
Yeah, fine.
Cool. Hey, sit tight there, would you? All right, so we'll talk with Wade here because I do have a follow-up question on that and about people being, 40 years old and older and still impressionable. And I think that...
It's Rob Hunter. We bring you news, traffic, and weather, and I promise I won't lull you back to sleep. It's the KFYI download, weekday mornings at 5, just before Broomhead on News Talk 550 KFYI.
Hi, Chris Merrill on News Talk 550 KFYI. Looks like we're going to have to wait another year before we see somebody take a shot at winning golf's Grand Slam. Jordan Spieth did not win. Zach Johnson won the British Open, for those that were paying attention to that. Wade is a grad student, and Wade and I were just talking about being impressionable. We talked about psychotropic drugs, or the drugs that people might take if they are trying to cope with some mental illnesses and whatnot. And Wade, you said something very interesting. You're 40 years old. I also am an old man. And Wade, you said that it's difficult for us to become impressionable. But I'm glad I got you on here because I do have one question. This is something that's bothered me along these lines. Okay. And I hate to bring up Godwin's Law because Godwin's Law would state that given enough time, every conversation will devolve into Nazism. But and that's what I want to kind of talk about here, though, because you had a lot of reasonable people, sensible people, 40-plus years old, that were convinced that joining the Nazi Party and condemning Jews was a good idea, that the Jews were out to get them, I think, is basically what Hitler used to sell people on that theory. Is it possible to convince masses of people nowadays that they need to join up a particular ideology or else? I mean, you mentioned young, impressionable men, and I see that all the time, these people between 18 and 30 years old, very impressionable. What happens when we get a little bit older? How does one make an impression upon somebody that is 40, 50 years old?
Well, you bring up an interesting parallel. First of all, I'd like to apologize for painting in broad strokes, because certainly in ISIS and Al-Qaeda, you will see older men, you will see women of all ages, you will see adherents across, pretty much the lifespan.
But those are the ones controlling it. I mean, those are the ones that have something to benefit from it, right?
Well, let's draw the difference here between ISIS and Hitler, and I'll even bring in North Korea. North Korea and Hitler consolidated their power until there were no alternatives, and people had one of two choices. Well, one of three, actually: to join, to jump on board, to flee, or to die. So when you have older people who would join the Nazi regime, often they were grandfathered in from the existing German military, and they literally had no choice. They had no other resources, nowhere to go, so it was pretty much play along or we'll kill you and your entire family.
Okay, which is
So the
gang mentality.
I'm sorry?
Gang mentality, like we see with the drug cartels.
Yes, I mean, drug cartels are often on record as, I think you did the example a day or two ago, about $500,000 to mule in the shipment of drugs in the prison, and you try to resist, but the threats increase until, they're not only killing you and your family, but your mailman, your milkman. I mean, they're going to kill everybody.
Yeah.
So you sing the song, you march along, and, it's a bold new frontier, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of the fight for survival in that case.
Self-preservation, the fight or flight response will do it will do amazing things to otherwise ordinary people.
Yeah, I think that's probably some of what we're seeing in the Middle East as well. Certainly with ISIS being as violent as they are. Holy cow. I wouldn't want to see my child burned alive.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
And again, I think a lot of these people may, in fact, feel compelled.
Yeah. I mean, maybe my youngest, but the older two, I would not want to see them burned alive.
No, definitely not.
No. Yeah, they have the most value. There's definitely some potential there to take care of me and my old folks. Wade, thanks so much. I appreciate you weighing in and giving us some insight into it.
I guess I'll talk to you when the next mass violence breaks out, right?
Yeah, let's hope that you and I don't talk for a while on a topic like this. Before then, maybe we can talk about great craft beers or something of the sort, all right?
Sounds like
Wade.
a deal.
Take care of yourself. Thank you so much. God, I hate it when we have to talk about the mass killing. Just hate that. Stop shooting people, for Pete's sake. One thing that, I get compliments on this. And I'm not doing it for the compliments. I just, my little part is that I don't like to bring up the names of the people that do these things. I just don't like to talk about the shooters. I don't like to call them out by name because I don't want to give them any notoriety. I just don't. Now, what the hell do I know? What do I know? I don't know nothing. Chris Merrill, News Talk 550, KFYI. Guys, I feel like we had the most traction today out of this whole Trump thing. I feel like this is it.
I agree.
Yeah, I think probably we should not give up on Trump quite yet. We still have another 20 minutes or so of the show to kill. So I think maybe Trump some more.
We could just do a whole show of phone calls.
On Trump?
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that the people who are like, I'm not crazy, call to defend Donald Trump, and the more they talk, the crazier they sound.
Exactly. We
It's
love
just,
it.
it's fantastic, right?
Oh, yeah, it's gold.
It is. So Donald Trump is not going to apologize to John McCain. He says, no, that's not going to happen. I give him credit for doubling down. He does. I mean, he says something controversial, and he goes, no, I'm not going to backpedal on that. I give him credit on that. He always stands behind what he says. Although he's kind of backpedaled. Here, I'll let you listen. He's kind of backpedaled a little bit, but not totally.
In a new op-ed in USA Today, Donald Trump remains defiant, ramping up his attack on John McCain, saying, the reality is that John McCain, the politician, has made America less safe, and McCain has abandoned our veterans. I will fight for them. The billionaire sparked a fast and furious bipartisan backlash over the weekend, taking direct aim at McCain.
He's not a war hero.
Who still wears the scars of 5 years as a prisoner of war in North Vietnam after his plane was shot down.
His name is Admiral John McCain.
Even turning down early release because of his father's high rank in the Navy. Trump was speaking at a gathering of conservatives in Iowa Saturday.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
He tried to...
Wow. Man. Here's the thing. And I get people's criticism of John McCain. I get it. Criticize it. That's fine. He's a politician. He opens himself up to it. In fact, he says he likes getting dirty. He likes getting in the mud. It's great. But, I mean, you can't deny that when Vietnam came around, that guy was a badass. Really? Talking to John McCain, he talked about, he and I were talking, did we do this on the air or was this off the air? We're talking about Duke Cunningham, the guy, crooked politician, but he says, man, that guy was a great pilot. He said, I was not a very good pilot. And then he kind of jokes about it, self-deprecating humor that he has. But, I mean, you can't deny the guy was a badass in the war. Whether you like or don't like what he's done since, which is fine. That's open for debate. But dude was a badass in the war.
Clean up his comments at first with reporters.
If a person's captured, they're a hero as far as I'm concerned.
All right, so he kind of backs off on it, does Trump?
And on Twitter, saying, captured or not, all soldiers are heroes. But that didn't stop the deluge of disgust from Republicans, most who hope to knock the real estate mogul from his surprise spot atop the GOP presidential field.
It's not just absurd, it's offensive, it's ridiculous, and I do think it is a disqualifier as commander-in-chief.
Donald Trump owes every American veteran, and in particular John McCain, an apology.
I think it's Rick Perry there, right?
Even the Republican National Committee said there is no place in our party or our country for Trump's comments. Trump's words only escalate an ongoing feud with McCain over illegal immigration.
Wait, how does that escalate a feud over illegal immigration?
McCain had accused Trump of rallying crazies with his event a little more than a week ago in McCain's state of Arizona. In his new op-ed, Trump said McCain would rather protect the Iraqi border than Arizona's. In a new
and again, that, Trump knows how to say those things that are going to get people worked up. He knows it. And yet, I found this very interesting. Nobody seemed to get all that worked up over this. And maybe it's because he said what he did about the John McCain thing. But there's something else that Donald Trump said at this event that he was speaking at. I was really interested in this. He said he doesn't ask forgiveness.
Well, you have to give Frank Luntz a little credit there for it.
It's from CNN's report.
Acknowledging that John McCain was a war hero. Let's not forget, back when he was shot down over Vietnam, he was offered the opportunity by his Vietnamese captors to get out of prison. His father was a high-ranking naval officer. John McCain chose to stay in there. The laughter that you heard was more of a
Come on,
sideshow,
get to it.
I don't think
Get to the part about forgiveness.
Donald Trump did himself any favors here, Fred. These are social conservatives, about 2,000 of them here in Iowa. They're very important to the Iowa vote. Donald Trump was having difficulty to even talking about his own relationship with God. He was asked several times about that. He wasn't even able to say so. And asked point blank, has he ever asked God for forgiveness? Donald Trump said no. That's not necessarily the answer you want to deliver here in Iowa today.
Yeah, so he tells the people of Ames, Iowa, he says, no, he's never asked forgiveness. I thought that was a really interesting take. I don't know. You have somebody that's self-reliant, right? Self-reliant individual. Would a self-reliant individual feel like they need forgiveness from God?
I think
it
Go ahead, depends what you believe.
Well, so does it matter, though? Here's the truth. For an individual, what you just said is absolutely correct. For a politician, it matters what the voters believe.
That's true.
Right? So does that end up hurting him?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't think the evangelicals are going to like it. I don't.
Well, they're not going to like it, of course, but they'll forget about it in about a week and move on to the next thing.
Because he said, well, you make a good point. Somebody on Periscope was asking about that. How soon before we forget about this Trump thing and then we're on to the next crisis? I said, probably Wednesday. But
for sure.
I'm not surprised that Trump said that he's never asked for forgiveness. That doesn't surprise me whatsoever. The guy doesn't have an ounce of humility in him. To ask for forgiveness would mean that he has to recognize a greater power than himself, and he has to actually believe that that greater power has the authority to offer forgiveness. Trump said if he does something wrong, he tries to do something else that's good to make up for it. It's kind of like hockey. If you have a good plus-minus number, you're thought of as a good player. Well, more goals were scored on the ice for my team when I was out there than they were for the other team, so I'm a good player. But I don't know that that's how the evangelicals are going to look at it. Let's see. Go to Edward in Glendale. Edward, News Talk 550 KFY. Oh, we're doing well, Edward. Go ahead.
John McCain, Trump had every right to say he's entitled to his own opinion. If people don't like it, we live in America where we have that right, okay?
All right.
I'm just saying that's...
Am I not allowed to say, though, that I don't like his opinion?
Oh, yeah, you're allowed to say you don't like his opinion.
All right, good.
I never said you weren't. I just said Trump has the same right that you do. If he doesn't if he doesn't feel he wasn't a war hero, I particularly don't feel he was a war hero. He was a jet fighter pilot. He did a fine job. But the real heroes over there were the tunnel rats, the guys who went in searching those tunnels to be hung made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those guys had some big cojones on them, I tell you.
Yeah, they did. Oh, you're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, Vietnam, as with any conflict, really reveals the true character of a number of patriots, doesn't it? I mean, we have heroes made up and recognized all over the place because of the valor like that, right? I mean, every conflict, we see great heroes come out of those conflicts. We see the difference between, men and mice, right? I think so. Let's get one more here. Roger's in Peoria. Roger up on News Talk 550 KFYI. Roger, go ahead.
Hey, well, I'm a veteran. I don't consider myself a hero. I know very few veterans that consider themselves heroes. We did the job because that was something that we called to do. But
well, I'll tell you what, Roger, I will consider you a hero for putting yourself out there. You don't have to consider I appreciate the humility.
He was an unspectacular pilot. He was an unspectacular warrior. I'm not cutting him down this way. I'm giving you a fact of the matter that he didn't. His claim to fame is he was an admiral's grandson and an admiral's son, and so he was famous when he got shot down.
Right. I mean, he could have used that to his advantage, though, right?
My whole point is, I love what Trump has been doing. He's trying to show some spine out there, and hopefully some of the Republicans will pick up on that. People keep saying everything's bad that he's saying, except the people that are actually out there sitting at a lunch table at work. Everybody I know is happy that he's doing it. It's finally somebody's got balls enough to stand up and say something. Because you talk to these career politicians and you say something, well, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. Well, baloney, you said it. Why don't you just stand up for yourself and say that's what you meant?
All right. So you like how forthright he is.
That's right.
Okay. Even if he says something you disagree with, you respect the fact that he says it and he stands behind it.
Especially if he stands up behind it and says it. If I think it's the dumbest thing on the planet that he said, but he stands there and says, well, that's the way I feel about it. Just like your last caller. He's got that right. He can feel that way.
Yeah, he can.
But nobody wants to. The politicians are so terrified of everything anymore, especially the Republicans, because they're so afraid they're going to be marked as not PC, and PC's the worst thing that ever happened to this country.
Right, yeah. We'd hate to respect other people and different opinions. So, Roger, let me just throw this out there then. Let's suppose that Hillary comes out and says sanctuary cities are a good idea, and here's why, and I believe it, and I'm going to fight for sanctuary cities. You have to respect her, right?
I respect her opinion, but I'm 100% against it.
All right, fair enough.
It's just like, here's the funny part. She comes out yesterday or the day before, oh, John McCain is a wonderful war hero and blah, blah, and yet tomorrow she'll be bashing him about something.
I don't think she needs to. She doesn't need to. It is all politics. You're right. I agree with you on that. But I don't think she needs to.
McCain came out right there today and said the same thing. He said, I'm a politician. I'm open for gunfire,
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Sure. Yeah.
But everybody else is jumping on this politically correct bandwagon trying to make hay for themselves.
Well, is it politically correct to insist that somebody not denigrate a war POW, whether you think he's a hero or not? I mean, he's basically mocking anyone that's ever been caught behind enemy lines.
He didn't denigrate him. He spoke his mind.
Okay, but I could speak my mind and still denigrate people.
The guy's stupid. Well, you can't call him stupid. Why not? My opinion, my experience with him, he's been an idiot. Well, you can't say that. Why not? And that's the problem with this country today. Everybody's afraid to speak their mind.
That's the one problem? All right.
That's a problem.
Thanks, Roger. Take care of yourself. We'll get your final thoughts on this in just a few moments here, because I know I told you, talking Trump just fires people up. I love it, because the crazier Trump is, the crazier his supporters get. It's more of this is next. It's Chris Merrill, News Talk 550 KFYI.
Dependable and trustworthy. News Talk 550 KFYI.
Chris Merrill, News Talk 550 KFYI. This is a news flash. Donald Trump says something inflammatory. That's weird. Brian's in Gilbert. Brian here on News Talk 550 KFYI. I'm going to let you have the final word on Trump, Brian. Go ahead.
Ooh, I get the final word and everything. How you doing?
I'm doing great here, bud.
Yeah, hey, I mean, you got some good conversation going on tonight, and I think your previous caller had a lot of good things to say. I have a slightly different stance on things, not necessarily for or against or whatever anybody else has said so far, but it just seems like any time any politician, especially on the Republican side nowadays, says anything, there's this automatic wall that has to get erected instantly. And you're either on this side and agree, or you're on that side and you don't. And if you're on that side and you don't, then nothing else in concert makes any sense. And it's just, it's backwards. I mean,
yeah. Now, with the GOP, is that necessarily a bad thing? Because right now you've got so many different candidates; they're all trying to differentiate themselves.
Right.
Right. I mean, so they're all trying to say, I'm different, and if you support me, this is what I think. Now come support me, and if you don't, then you're not going to be my supporter. I mean, they're all trying to take a hardline stance on something out there right now.
Right.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
As far as the Democrats go, it's basically like Bernie Sanders says he's a socialist, and Hillary goes, yeah, I'm not. Otherwise, the others that are running, Webb and O'Malley, I don't know that they're getting a whole lot of traction at all. So,
right.
I mean, they're waiting for Hillary to make a screw up, and as soon as she does, they're going to pounce at it. But she doesn't have to say anything.
Well, yeah,
right now.
but if that's their strategy, then they're already behind the eight ball. Because
they are behind the eight ball for sure.
You know, I mean, in which case their entire campaign is doomed. You know, I mean,
it's exactly right. Brian, I'm against the clock here, man. It's the end of the show. Thanks a lot, bud. I appreciate that. Have a good one. It's Chris Merrill, News Talk 550 KFYI.